Tony Abbott has had a lot to say at various times about various issues that have been raised in the Parliament. Indeed, he's made it clear on a number of occasions that his view is that the allegations around Peter Slipper have profound consequences for the government. Indeed, he said on the 26th of April, it becomes increasingly clear with each passing day that the fate of the Gillard government rests entirely on two members of Parliament, Peter Slipper and Craig Thomson. This is a very political issue. What we've seen is, as time has rolled on, just like in the Godwin-Gretsch affair, we've seen the details and the reality and the facts be very different from the allegations that were first made. There are people in this room who made pretty strong comments on that weekend in April about the allegations being made against the Speaker, which implied that to make an allegation was to have them proven. For months now, the Leader of the Opposition has engaged in daily commentary on these issues. He has run from the Parliament, but he can't run from his role and the role of the coalition in these incidents. What we know is that in spite of Mr Abbott's comments on May 17, where he said very clearly, when asked by a journalist, "Will you disclose all contact that party members have had with James Ashby?" Mr Abbott replied unequivocally, and I quote, "All of our contact is on the record." Well, excuse me, but if you look at the documents that have been released by the court, what they show is extraordinary levels of contact prior to any allegations being made publicly against Mr Slipper between Mr Ashby, Mr Brough, Mr McIver, Mr McArdle, who's now a minister in the Queensland government. You have now an acknowledgement that people such as Clive Palmer, senior figure in the operation, knew about these issues. Now, we know some things. We know that Mal Brough met with Joe Hockey and Clive Palmer. Mal Brough, the person who wants Peter Slipper's seat in Parliament, has a meeting with Clive Palmer and Joe Hockey and is aware of all of this, has lined up meetings with lawyers, has lined up meetings with people who go on to be ministers in the incoming Queensland government, but this doesn't rate a mention at the meeting with Joe Hockey. Joe Hockey would have you believe. We know that Mal Brough, Christopher Pyne and Joe Hockey have all had to change their stories. Mal Brough originally said that it was nonsense that he had any prior knowledge. Christopher Pyne had to change his story about 3 or 4 times in terms of contact between himself and Mr Ashby, and would have it believed that it's business as usual for someone in a position, be it Leader of the House or Manager of Opposition Business, to sit down with the Speaker's staff, without the Speaker being there, for just a few drinks and a chat over a lazy hour and a half, and then have ongoing contact after that. These quite explosive documents released by the court mean that it is time, given the public nature of the way in which this issue has been dealt with, it is appropriate that Tony Abbott do nothing more and nothing less than what he said he had already done. And the government calls upon Tony Abbott to disclose all contact between his party and James Ashby, the nature of that contact, the nature of the knowledge and involvement in the legal action taken by Mr Ashby, including the questions that have been raised as a result of the release of the court documents around issues such as who is actually paying for this court action? Who is paying for this court action? So we ask nothing more and nothing less than transparency. That is what the opposition have demanded of the government over a range of issues, including this one.